I met a gypsy.
So I want a bit of a Stankdog 125 101. My 125 just got put back together. I rode it for the first time yesterday. That's probably the bike I'm going to be riding the most in the next little bit. I want Stankdog 125 101.
Oh, shoot. I'd say, what kind of carb you got on there, first of all?
I got Electron on there.
Oh, man, you might have to edit this one out. But
no, you just go for it. We don't know.
All right, you got the wrong carb on there.
Really?
If you could get, in my opinion. So I think it came stock with a Mikuni carb on there, 38 millimeter. So here's a weird thing. All 252 strokes, I don't care if it's KTM, gas, or Husky, it comes with a 38 millimeter carb on it. Or sorry, 36 millimeter carb on it. Then the 125s come with a 38 millimeter carb on it. So my theory of it is, why would you put a bigger carb on a 125 and a smaller carb on a 252 stroke? So the first thing I did when I first got both bikes was switch them. Put the bigger carb on the bigger bike, the smaller carb on the smaller bike, which that made a drastic difference. Then I went to testing between a Mikuni carb and a cking carb. And the Husky comes stock with a Mikuni carb on it. And when I went to the cking carb on that, I swear by it, this is like my biggest thing on 125s is like the running, the finesse of the carburetor. Like, it has to be spot on for the bike to be running perfect. You know, you don't want it to bog when you land or any bullshit like that. So testing, I've found the cking carb is hands down the best, whether it goes up, down. Like, I've tried the Electron. I still have Electron to these days on some of my bikes. But just hands down, from 101 experience, that cking carb with, I don't care what pipe it is, Pro Circuit, FMF, Bills, as long as you have the Works pipe, and then the Shorty silencer. It has to have the Shorty silencer on there with a cking carb, and that 125 will fucking rip, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they still rip with that Mikuni and the Electron, but that would be my biggest 101 on the 125. That and handlebar bend for me, like the stock bend that comes on the Husky 125. That's my 101 on the two-stroke. That bend only comes on the Husky 125, and I love that handlebar bend. I love it. No crossbar. I think it's the year 2016 that I had it on, so I think it was Pro Taper handlebars. I think it was, with just like a Husky cover. I don't remember, but that was my favorite bend on the 125. Like, every 125 I rode, or even to this day, like, I still have two sets of those bars from my Husky that are used and scratched, and they possibly could still be a little bent, but I'm like, dude, those bars gotta go on my 125. Like, it feels comfortable. Even on my KTM that I've had after, I'm like, those Husky bars are going on my KTM. Like, they feel great.
That's sick. So yeah, mine's got we put the Electron on there, and then that's it. Like, that's the only engine kind of mod. And then I got a Bills pipe, the Works one with the Shorty on it. And the thing that I like about Electron though, so like, I pretty much fucked my bike because I was fucking with the carb, and I put the needle in wrong, and like the tip of the needle broke, and then that got shot into the engine, and then I did a fucking big end. So like, I was just like, you know what? I just don't know that this is for me. But man, you bolt on Electron, like, literally, we put it on, we put the throttle cable on, and then that's it. You start the bike and it fucking works, and like, it's completely fine. So that to me is like big appeal for those carbs. And then we've got the like I said, the MX Tech suspension with the Natty shock, and then the Blackjack internal forks, WP factory clamps, and then the PHDS bar mounts. So that's like pretty much our configuration. And then the only other thing, I got one of those Ride Engineering like steering dampeners on my 350. And have you ever used one of those things?
No, never used a ride engineering one, but I have used like when they ridden the Hondas when they come stock on the Hondas.
So it's a shot. You use the Honda steering dampener. It's just a ride engineering mount that like so you don't have to like drill into your frame and shit. But yeah, so it's one of those Honda steering dampener ones. But I was like, I don't know if the 125 will need it, but now I think I'm probably just gonna try it on there just to try it. But the one thing I feel like I noticed riding with that whole setup, so I don't know exactly which part's kind of responsible for it, but I used to always like have trouble feeling like when the front end was gonna like let go. But I feel like whatever that setting in whatever combination of that in the front end is like I literally feel this like little bit of flex before the front wheel tucks, and then it's like that's the edge, and then you kind of pull out and go from there. And then like yesterday was one of the first times that I like ever fucking rode and like just didn't wash the front at some point, you know.
Well, on the factory triple clamps, do you have tie bolts in them?
Nah, they're just
the pinch bolts or tie bolts.
Nah, they're
standard
just
bolts. Okay, like for pushing front end, always in my opinion, it can be from two things. It can be from your sag not being correct.
Yeah.
And then it could be from, like you're saying, you have factory triple clamps. I do know some factory triple clamps come with titanium bolts, which in my opinion creates rigidness. Obviously titanium's stiffer than our normal bolts, and when your front end's obviously more stiffer and rigid, it's going to push and kind of glide around the ground more than digging in.
So
another.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
Another thing I would recommend on putting on the 125 would be a VHM head, piston, and crank.
Yeah, right.
Like that. That company, I think they're out of the Netherlands, and they've helped me out a few times here and there, but like it helps so much I'd even buy it for my own bike, my own 125. Like if I have to buy it, it comes down to it, that's something that I'm buying for my 125 because it is a game changer. Like
really,
it's like changing your suspension, literally. Like it's a game changer. It's seconds on lap times.
No way. What does that do like to reliability though, do you think? Like do you then have to really kind of keep up extra maintenance and shit?
So the VHM they've been known to be very reliable, and I feel like what they do to their crank, so they balance it, and then they like, I forget what it's called, but it like does like this thrusting thing, like it like forces it to come back up, like it's like an added. They balance it, and then they add
almost like
another weight that like makes it. Yeah, like it thrusts the crankshaft back up. It like forces it back up instead of just like rolling it.
Yeah,
it helps it force it back up, and like out of testing and everything like that, it's the longevity has been. I've gotten the same amount of time out of every VHM product that I've used versus stock, and like. My skill level on a 125, we would always go like 10 hours on a piston and then 25 hours on a crank and switch it, like, and I feel like for your average rider, I feel like you could probably go 50 hours on a top end and a crank on a 125, as long as you're not beating the living hell out of it wide open, screaming it around the track the entire time. Yeah. And I feel like you could get that out of VHM products or the stock products.
Yeah, right, dude. That's rad. Yeah, we did like the bottom end, because I think it was from that needle, like got shot into the motor at some point and just got in and fucked something up. But so we did that, but everything else is just completely stock. You're a little bit more technical than I thought you'd be for whatever reason. Maybe that's what you were saying before. People don't think you're that smart, but there's obviously like, are you into the like nerdy side of fucking motocross? Because for me, half the fun's just being a fucking nerd about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I hate to say this, but I could probably be factory rider's factory mechanic. That's how mechanically inclined I am on the motorcycle. Like,
hell yes.
My dad literally, like I'm super nitpicky about it. Like I feel like not to brag, but I probably wash a dirt bike better than most people that wash their dirt bikes. Like it has to be spotless clean every time, certain soap used every time, scrub pads used every time. Like even as a privateer, my bike after 5 hours gets framed, re-greased, everything like that. Like I do it all myself. The motor work, I can do pretty much everything. I don't do it because I don't have to, but I can do everything myself. Like if I was in a bind and needed anything done on the track, which I've done it last year and the year before, full split the cases, full put a crank in at the track on a 250F. We can do it all ourselves. And growing up from 85, I could change tires, change the tube, flat tire. I could do all top ends, do the clutch, all on an 85. Like my dad made me go out there and do those things, and like lubing the controls, shit like that. Like we always had cable lubers. Like you always want your controls to be the easiest they can be, and so they're reliable. And just like I always make sure my bike is top notch cherry, and like super picky about it. Like I feel like I could be a factory mechanic.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.